The life and sad ending of Tuesday Weld. Susan Ker Weld was born on August 27, 1943, in New York City. When her father, Lathrop Motley Weld, died 3 years later at the age of 49, the young girl, whose name by then had somehow been transmogrified into Tuesday, took over the role of the family breadwinner, which included her mother Yosene Balfour Ker. Began her career as a child model fashion and catalogs at age 3. She became a successful child model, posing for advertisements and mail-order catalogs. Her work and the burden of responsibility estranged her from her mother Yosene, her 2 elder siblings, and forced the preteen girl into adulthood. At 9 years of age, she suffered a nervous breakdown. At 10, she started heavy drinking. 1 year later, older men started exploiting her, all of which led to a suicide attempt at age 12. After her love for a gay man didn't work out, she also claimed that she had her first real affair at 11. By 16 she had totaled half a dozen cars and was dating men 3 times her age, most notably John Ireland, which caused a scandal but did not lead to statutory rape charges. In 1956 she debuted in the low-budget exploitation movie Rock Rock Rock, and decided to become an actress. After numerous TV appearances in New York, she went to Hollywood in 1958 and was cast for Rally Round the Flag, Boys, something of a breakthrough for her. Over the next few years, Tuesday became Hollywood's queen of teen, playing mainly precocious sex kittens. Her wild private life added to the entertainment of her fans. Critics acknowledged her talent, directors approved of professionalism, and in the late 1960s she even managed to grow out of her child woman image and find more demanding roles. She had been Sweet Little 16 for about 16 years. Graduated from Hollywood Professional School in 1960 and was the class valedictorian. However, Tuesday Weld didn't achieve first-magnitude stardom. Maybe she was just unlucky with her selection of jobs. She turned down Lolita, Bonnie and Clyde, True Grit, Bob and Carol, and Ted and Alice, among others. Maybe her independence-loving mind made her instinctively shrink back from the restraints of superstardom. In any case, she kept on performing well in films that had either not much flair or not much success. From the mid-70s on she focused more and more on made-for-TV movies, which was ironic in that the best and the most successful films that came her way happened after her big-screen career had pretty much petered out. Tuesday Weld was married 3 times, Pinchas Zuckerman respectively, followed by Dudley Moore with 1 child, and finally Claude Hars with 1 child. Featured on the cover of the album Girlfriend by Matthew Sweet, except at the beginning of her career, has always been extremely media shy. She was director Roman Polanski's first choice for the title role in Rosemary's Baby in 1968 because he thought her pure American looks would contrast well with the film's dark undertones. The studio preferred Mia Farrow, however, who had become a star on the enormously popular nighttime soap opera Peyton Place. A few years later Polanski wanted her to star in his film version of Macbeth. When asked by a reporter what drove her into seclusion after having such public adolescence, she answered, "I think it was a Buick." The first year she was on the set of The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis in 1959 she was mobbed so much by the press that she finally cut them off entirely. After that, her name was seldom mentioned when the show was written about. In Tiny Tim's recording of George M. Cohan's song Then I'd Be Satisfied with Life, he changes the line "If Hetty Green would only be my wife" to "If Tuesday Weld would only be my wife." She and Wild in the Country in 1961 co-star Hope Lang both portrayed the character of Selena Cross Weld in the movie sequel Return to Peyton Place. Lang in the original film Peyton Place. Anthony Perkins and Dina Merrill are her third cousins. Nearly landed the leading role in Of Human Bondage in 1964 when director Henry Hathaway proved to be completely incompatible with star Kim Novak. Twice portrayed a character who undergoes abortion, in Play It As It Lays in 1972 and Looking for Mr. Goodbar in 1977. She was supposed to star in Performance in 1970 and The Stepford Wives in 1975 but bowed out at the last minute. In the mid-1980s, Tuesday began telling people her mother was dead, even though she was still alive. Aileen Weld didn't pass away until 2001. Singer Walter Egan recorded Tuesday Weld, his self-penned tribute to the actress, on his 1980 album The Last Stroll. Donald Fagen mentions her in his song New Frontier on the album The Nightfly. Introduce me to that big blonde, she's got a touch of Tuesday Weld. Was considered to play Mrs. Lovett in a film version of the musical Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, but she passed on the role as time went on. When it was finally made in the 2000s, the role went to Helena Bonham Carter. Sold her homes in Manhattan and Beach House in Montauk and moved to Colorado, near Aspen. As of June 2010, she was living in the Aspen area and has turned down work for over 10 years. Her major agents still send her scripts weekly, but she is writing and close to her daughter and granddaughter. She is offered mother roles on the hit series but looks better than her years. In April 2018, she bought a $1.8 million home in the Hollywood Hills, after years of living in Colorado. Her quotes: "I hated Mama. I didn't feel really free until she died. Otherwise, her death really didn't affect me much. Mama is already back here wandering around doing something. I hope as a puppy dog. When I was 9 I had a breakdown, which disappointed Mama a great deal. But I made a comeback when I was 10. I was in and out of several schools, but I never really went. There were no rules then in New York protecting working children. I was doing television shows as well as modeling, and instead of going to school, I used to do what they called correspondence, which meant that if I was working, I'd just write in and say I had jobs. Even when I didn't have jobs, I'd get up in the morning and say, 'Goodbye, Mama, I am going to school,' and then I'd head for the village and get drunk. I started drinking heavily when I was about 10 years old. I made my first suicide attempt when I was 12. I had fallen in love with a homosexual, and when it didn't work out, I felt hurt. A bottle of aspirin, a bottle of sleeping pills, and a bottle of gin. I was sure that would do the trick, but Mama came in and found me. I was in a coma for a long time and I lost my hearing, my vision, and several other things. When I recovered, I decided that I should try to get some help, but Mama didn't think I needed analysis." That is the story of the young girl we follow each year. Everything changes over time. She is now getting old, her health is no longer the same. If there is one wish, I wish this world would have no lonely people, no one to be sad about that love story, but I know that it will never happen. Everything is the same, still revolves around unexpected events, and we look forward to them.